Hey, hey, hey. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Doctor of Stuff channel. I am your host, Doctor of Stuff. As a disclosure, I am not a real doctor. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, anything that we discuss today. And I'm not your financial advisor, right? This is all just for fun. We're going to be talking about things that we enjoy, that we like, and maybe some things that we're invested in. But at the end of the day, it's on you. You're responsible for any investment decisions that you make. But I have here an awesome special guest, MrMC1. But I want to do an introduction a very unique way. As we're talking about tech and emerging technology, right? I had Grok write me up a little introduction just using your tweets, right? And so I asked Grok to provide me an introduction that I could use on my YouTube channel. So we're going to go, and it'll be interesting to see, Sanjay, if it's all correct or what's going on here. So without further ado, MrMC1.Eth is a prominent figure in the cryptocurrency and blockchain community, known for his innovative projects and dedication to building great products. He is focused on his customers and believes that wealth is a combination of hard work and fortune. MrMC1 came to his current country with a suitcase and $23,000 in debt, with some support from his parents, but never relied on handouts. He is active on Twitter, where he shares his thoughts and updates on his projects. In the past few years, MrMC1 has been involved in several notable projects in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space. One of his most significant projects is the development of a decentralized finance platform that aims to provide financial services to unbanked and underbanked populations around the world. The platform has already garnered significant attention and has attracted a large user base. Another project that MrMC1.Eth has been working on is the creation of a blockchain-based supply chain management system. The system is designed to improve transparency and traceability in supply chains and has the potential to revolutionize the way that businesses manage their supply chains. In addition to his work on these projects, MrMC1.Eth is also a vocal advocate for the adoption of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. He frequently shares his thoughts and opinions on these topics on his Twitter account. And a featured speaker at several conferences and events. Overall, MrMC1 is a respected and influential figure in the cryptocurrency and blockchain community, and his work has the potential to have a significant impact on the future of these technologies.
Very interesting. I would say maybe about 90%, maybe 85, 90% correct there, but it's good. You know, I suppose it can't seem to tell the difference between when I'm investing in a project versus when I'm, directly working on a project. But yeah, we'll let that slide for now, as long as the review is great, right?
The review was overall positive. I didn't say provide me a positive review, right? I just said provide me a summary of who MrMC1 is, right, on Twitter and or on X. And so of this, though, I'm assuming then that there's a couple things that you're invested in, like the supply chain technology, right?
Yes.
And DeFi, as opposed to actually building products on that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's interesting to see, though, right? As this aggregated all of this information, and it is a little off, but with like 5 seconds, and it'll be interesting to see as this technology increases or advances, like what it's truly capable of. This is awesome. So,
first of all, thank you very much for having me on your channel, Dr. Stuff. You're one of my favorite people, man. What I really admire most about you is whenever there's any type of articles that are published and you disagree with, you do a lot of homework. You're not a real doctor, a medical doctor or whatever, PhD, but you're a doctor by, in thought. You go and you dive really deep, and then you start publishing facts on it, and you're unbiased. When you need to call a spade, you do so, and that's the kind of person I really respect. So honestly, it's just a delight to be on your channel today. We don't have to agree on everything either, and I know that's how you roll as well. But really, thank you very much. And then the introduction, that's it's great to see what those types of different types of introductions do. The abstraction with Grok, I believe, is good, generally good, but there are things that are not quite, it can't quite tell, ascertain certain things. But yeah, super excited.
Well, Sanjay, I'm humbled by your words. And coming from someone with your background and how much you know about this space, that's very meaningful. And thank you. And look, there's a lot of people here that definitely want to hear what your thoughts are. And I do have to shout out. Let's see here. It looks like and I'm trying to remember exactly how he says his name on Twitter, but Just the Frog, right? He's
Harvesting Frog.
The Harvesting Frog, yeah. So he did an interview, and he's been releasing that now. Is it in English as well, or is it in French?
Yes, it's in English. Okay, so he's got a French channel, and now he's starting an English channel as well. So he wanted to interview me as part of the English channel. But I want to say hi to everybody here. Atomic Z is here. We have MrMC1.Eth here. Justin, Justin's here. A lot of people, very cool people here as well in our community. So yeah, Randy's here. Wow, very cool. Let's
love it, man.
Ikovi actor is very, very respected as well. Green Goblin. Wow, a lot of cool people here, guys. So super excited to be here, and it's always fun to chat.
Yes. Well, let's dive into this, Sanjay. So I would love. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on my introduction to you. You were just talking in a space, and I think it was, I had seen you talk before in spaces. I didn't really know who you were at the time, but then there was one space where you started talking just about comics in general, and it was fun. It was fun listening to you, and then I kind of clicked on you, and I was like, man, like this guy's got a lot of followers. Like, who is this guy? And I was kind of diving deep, but I would love for people who either they may know you, right, but they don't know like the background of Sanjay. I would love to know a little bit more about your background before Web3. Like, what is it in Web2? And obviously, just as deep or shallow as you want to go into that. Mm-hmm. And then I would love to hear your VeVe collectible origin story.
Sure.
So go for it.
So first thing I want to share with you guys is, look, throughout my life, I've lived with the philosophy that I know 1% of what I actually want to learn. And that's 1% of what there is to learn. So I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert in anything. I'm a student since the first day, and I continue to study and learn from very smart people on different topics. And I'm blessed to be surrounded by some incredibly bright and sharp people. And no matter who you are, sometimes we have biases about certain types of people, that they are fudders or they're, stupid or this or that or whatever. I don't have any such biases. I learn from everyone. There's always something to be learned. Everybody has a special skill set, and it's about finding that special skill set inside you. And some people know what that skill set is, some people don't. And a lot of times when you do realize what your special skill set is and you apply it to the opportunity, you make, there's wealth comes about it. And not always. So there's people, you have to keep trying as well. So there's people who are super bright and very skilled and special at something, and they've not found it, or they found it, and if they found it, they've applied it, and they've been successful or not. But look, we can all chat. You can look up to anybody and say, oh, this guy is bright and smart and sharp and whatever. I'm just another guy. I'm learning like everybody. I figured out a couple of skills that worked for me, and it paid off a little bit. I would say it paid off for me in some ways. I got lucky, but it was hard work met luck. I would never say this just landed in my lap or anything. I worked super hard in my life, and those skills now, as increasingly tech world, those skills change, and you have to constantly learn, and you have to constantly apply them. It's a continuous journey. And so that's why I'm here with a lot of people when NFT started, when crypto, I was not there when it started, but I'm, at some point, I'm still early enough, I believe, when, Web3 started, when these different technologies are evolving. I'm always at the cutting edge of it. And I'm really, really, really lucky to be around guys like you, Danny the Bull, Crypto Rain, Tony, Mr. 41, Dr. Rolex, Dr. Profit. I mean, that man is a student too, and he's the biggest student of us all. Man, the way he studies and learns things, you can tell from his posts. Anyway, let me pause there. So that's the little bit about the attitude. Everything else is kind of, it's a description of what I did, not who I am, and that's very important to call out as well. And you'll kind of see that persisting in a little bit of this conversation. So I went to school in India. My dad was an officer in the Indian Army. We grew up with not much, just small houses. There were government housing, 2-bedroom homes in smaller towns. And my father was in the Armored Corps. So he was in the tank regiment. So he was always in border towns. Tank regiments don't live in luxurious cities in the inside of the country. They're always within about 10, 15 miles of the border. And so I grew up in small schools, and my mom was a big influence in a lot of my education. She's a teacher by profession as well. And so that's how I, started, and went on to get my degree in chemical engineering. It was a big accomplishment for me at the time. It's very hard to get into these schools in India. You have to take an entrance exam. There's over 100,000 people that take it. And if you are in the top 4%, you get to go to a good school. An engineering school, top 4% or 5%. And then if you're in the top 1%, then you get to go to a school of your choice and into a program of your choice. And I was really blessed to be able to do chemical engineering in one of the leading programs, schools in India. And that's how I started. And just really, worked hard for that. Went on to work in nuclear fuels after that for a short period of time. And then in pharmaceuticals. So from there on, I came to the US. I got my MBA at Michigan State. Again, I came here with nothing, man. I think you heard a little bit about it, but I came here with $23,000 of debt. My father agreed to put the house on collateral and take a loan from the bank, and I used that money to come here. And don't go into too much of the story, but obviously worked hard, got a great job after I graduated, worked my way up, and I was a banker for almost 10 years with HSBC, different markets, not making a whole lot, but just did that. Then I worked at Visa. I ran analytics at Visa. That was a 160-person team. Really enjoyed what I did there, and then I got my big break. So I was asked to be general manager at Amazon, and I had, and I got invited to that role, to explore that role, because I had worked with one of the senior guys at Amazon in a different role, and this person sort of had some degree of respect for me and wanted me to kind of come in and took a chance on me, right? And I had 18 interviews on my way into Amazon, 18. And I was grilled on every single leadership principle. I was grilled, including by 2 people on Amazon's S team. So these are people who work for Jeff Bezos, before I was allowed into that company. And my wife, halfway through the process, she's like, I don't think they want you. Why are you wasting your time? And I was like, no, I want to. And so I pursued that thing. I went through every one of those, interviews and stuff like that. And then I got an offer. And I looked at the offer. It was a great offer, but I said no. After 18 interviews, if you want me, yes. Now I'm going to get paid on this damn thing. So, they gave me a really good offer. I took that. I worked for a couple of years. I launched the Amazon Prime co-brand card with an amazing team. It was a relatively small team, but grew that team by more than 4x in a span of 18 months. Grew the profitability of that business by more than 5 times in that period of time. I was one of the few GMs who had more than $1 billion P&L profit, $1 billion profit P&L at Amazon, and I built that P&L, in terms of driving growth by more than 5x. But anyway, so worked with a very talented team, hired some brilliant people, and then very soon I started getting a lot of offers to be president, CEO of different companies. So I agreed to go to one in Texas. It was an offer that was, eye-watering kind of an offer I couldn't say no to. And so I did that, grew that company by 3x. That was a great exit for me, very good exit for me. Then went on to be CEO of a company for a few years. And then after that, I've been in private equity for about 4 years now. I help a private equity company look at companies that are between $1 billion and $5 billion. And when the right deal goes through, I get a small piece of the action on that company, as well as go if it's the right company, go run something there during the hold period. But that's what I do, IRL, but outside of that, I do a lot of other extracurricular activities. And those are, obviously you guys know what I do with VeVe and all this collecting and all the back owls and all that stuff, and Omi now as well. But I also, I'm involved in a lot of venture stuff. So the money that I had made, I decided that I was going to put a part of it in early stage companies. So I did a lot of homework. I followed the smart money. I found there's a company called Prime Movers Lab. There's a guy called Dakin Sloss who runs it. He's like a 2-time entrepreneur, successful exits, and he partnered up with Tony Robbins. So I think you guys know who Tony Robbins is. So Tony's obviously, I don't know, 500 million plus or whatever, maybe $1 billion now. But Tony's the GP there. He's able to bring in a lot of deals. So it's a deep tech VC. So I have an investment through them in about 25 deep tech companies. And then I also have other early stage investments in AI and ML. I started making these investments about 4 or 5 years ago. Pretty much, I would say 85% of my portfolio is in good shape, which for a VC kind of thing is really pretty cool, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's massive.
I mean, I remain optimistic there. I continue to kind of do my homework on it, and I don't actively invest anymore because I guess I bought a lot of Marvel comic ones. I could have invested at least 15 other companies if I hadn't put money in Marvel Comics one. But anyway, leave that for a minute here. A big believer, right? Big believer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a little bit about my background, Dr. Staff. I know I went through it in a little bit of depth there. And, if there's 2 things that I left out in it, I would say would be I sit on the board of the Broad College of Business at Michigan State. I'm very passionate about education. My wife and we donated some money there. And, a lot of my wealth came from tech. So I wanted to design a experiential digital product management class there. So my wife and I donated some money for 5 years to build and do that. And then as part of it, I also ended up getting on the board. Super excited about that. I'm also a mentor at Harvard's Innovation Lab. Harvard has this sort of place where they incubate student founders from all 13 Harvard schools. So this is my 3rd time I got selected to be a mentor there. So I mentor various types of founders. One of them is in the blockchain space. One of them is more in Web3 type gaming. One of them is helps in personal finance and banking related to the disabled. One of them is focused on international money transfer on the blockchain. And they're in 2 accelerators. I'm super excited. They've won awards and they've and accelerated stuff. But yeah, so that's a little bit about that other side of what I do with mentoring and things like that. But yeah, sorry, let's it was a little long there, but yeah.
No, Sanjay, this is honestly, I've been looking forward to. I've been wanting to get you on my channel, and just work has been crazy. And I mean, I even just reached out to you short notice, and you were so gracious in making time for this. But I love hearing this backstory, and I think it's so important. And there's a couple things. Can I ask you some follow-up questions on what you said? So my first one is, I thought it was interesting that you studied chemical engineering, right? And you're doing nuclear stuff. I guess the first one, why did you come to America? And then the second one was, why did you transition from chemical engineering and what you were working with nuclear technology to like private equity, investing and all, that transition? That's a big transition. So how did you do that, and why?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I always, right from the get-go, I wanted to have a technical degree and a business degree, and I wanted to blend the technical side and the business side. And so it's better to start with a tech. You can't go get into a technical degree later. You have to start with a technical degree. So that's why I started with chemical engineering. And my younger brother's a chemical engineer too. He works in oil and gas. He's president of an oil and gas company. But yeah, so that's, that for me was a very important step to start with a technical degree. And when you finish a technical degree and you look at the opportunities out there, the one opportunity was really around nuclear fuel. So, India has very low grade uranium. So you have to cover it with a specific type of material. It's zirconium, but it has to be at a very high quality so that it can, the uranium inside, you can get the most out of it. Simple language. And the method to produce uranium of that quality is something that only 5 countries in the world had at the time. And it requires certain types of reactions that go to over 800 degrees centigrade. And so to actually design something in that space, to get it constructed and to do all of that stuff was pretty interesting. Something I really enjoyed. I didn't do it for very long, though. I ended up getting a really nice role in a leading premier pharmaceutical company in India. And I used to do more technical kind of selling of pharmaceuticals in the Latin American region. So I did that for a while. And it was always my plan to do 2 years of that and then get into an MBA. So very fortunate to go to Michigan State. Really enjoyed myself there. I studied supply chain and marketing. I was a math tutor to football athletes there.
That's
I
awesome.
made money, man. It was a hustle.
That's fun.
I drive my bicycle in the snow and, hang out with these football players and teach them math, man. That was my job.
That's so amazing. That's so incredible. Yeah. Like, I just love hearing these success stories, but like what I think, and I guess I love that last little part, right? Where you're riding your bike in the snow, right? You're just trying to make it. And like, I love like where you start from and just the hard work. Like, it takes so much work and so much sacrifice to do the studying, to get into, even just in India, right? To get into that top 1%, like all of the studying, the hard work there, and then like to come here to the United States and do it all over again, and just those humble origins, right? But like, I'll say this. I have never met someone who truly has that hard work ethic that is not successful. Truly, they find a way. They find a way. And successful, there's different like variations of what success means. It's not always financial, right? Yeah. But man, I love hearing that. And I love, this is what I like, and this is why I love the VeVe community, is VeVe has been able to draw in such an incredible pool of just like talented people, smart people, like with crazy different experiences in life. And it's fun. It's fun to chat and to bring this out, right? Because people hear you maybe talk about comics and stuff, but they don't know like what you've done. I love that. So can we transition now? How did you find VeVe? And look, as you're doing research, you work with venture capital groups, you do a lot of analysis. What in the world made you decide to dive like feet first into the deep end of the pool with VeVe?
Yeah, at the time, I think this was in 21, I had a very large stock portfolio. I had some crypto, and I was looking at exposure. I'd heard about NFTs and stuff, and I was like, okay, let me just buy some stocks that have exposure to NFTs. Playboy came up. There's a bunch of other companies that came up, and I was like, I don't know. Then I just started reading some news articles and stuff. Then I saw this article that said Marvel's first comic coming out, blah, 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 readable, digital, this thing, that thing, and it's on an app called VeVe. So I'm naturally curious, I'm very curious, So I downloaded the app, took a look at it. I'd missed the drop. But I found a whole bunch of Marvel comic ones, people just throwing them away, right? Like $6, $7, $8, the commons. And then I think the secret rare was still $2.5, $3 something like that. So I picked up one secret rare and I bought a whole bunch of commons and uncommons and ultra rares and all that stuff. And then a couple of days later, I saw mint number 1032 of the Marvel Comics one. At the time, I didn't know how low that was, but I figured out a 60,000. It's still got to be very low. I'd given the company at 500. So I forked out the money to pick it up. I said, look, I'm going to do it. And then I said, look, instead of buying 100 shares of Facebook, 50 shares of Google or whatever, I'd go buy, a couple hundred of these Marvel comic ones because it's the first comic. Like, how can you go wrong? It's Marvel's first comic in the real world, in digital. It's a new technology. I'm like, I'll take risk. I'm not that. I'll take risks in life. I'm not scared, in that manner. I've done that before. I mean, one of the biggest things I did was I left a pretty large unvested chunk of Amazon stock to go to, they gave me slightly more of this other company's stock, which is like a relatively unknown smaller company. But in the end, when I exited that other company, I'd made more money with that stock than I would have while I was at Amazon, right?
Wow.
So I'm willing to take those risks. I'm not scared. And anyway, so that was why I came in for Marvel Comics 1. But I was really very, very impressed with David Yu's vision. And he's such his collection is. I was very impressed. And but I didn't know anybody. Silicon was a friend. There's a few other people that I connected with. Kidix, he gave me a name, Digital Bobby or whatever. He gave me a name and stuff.
I love it, man. Kidix
became MrMC1. But yeah, OBL, I followed her quite extensively.
Oh yeah, OBL.
Khaki, I used to listen to Khaki. All these, OGs, I used to listen to them. I was just a guy listening in spaces. I would come up once in a while to say hello or something like that, but not much. And then slowly, you kind of learn your ways. You make more friends. Then you go and speak, and then you get to know the team and all that stuff. And I went through, a whole phase where I was just disappointed with VeVe for not delivering. Very upset.
I remember that. I remember your tweets.
Times, right?
I remember that.
Your vision, I love all of this shit, but why the fuck is it not working? Right? The fuck, I'm looking at my watch. It's not the minutes hand has gone by, the hours hand, the days, the month has gone, months have gone by. My watch measures month.
Yeah.
The fuck where it is.
Yeah.
But I always believed in the company. I believed that they would figure it out because they had, when you look at anyone, that's what I do for a living, man. I look at people, I look at founders, young founders, older founders, and I look at what's their vision, what's the product market fit, and then I look at the ethics and all that type of stuff. And to me, David came across as this guy. I didn't know Dan as much, but David to me was, he's a more public figure, right? So David for me was a guy who's he's got that mentality to chase something, he's driven. He's like a passionate collector, but he's also like if it's not right, he'll go chase it, and he chase it, and he chase it, and he chase it till he gets it right. Mm-hmm. That mentality is very important in a human being. The people who just start something, give up. It's different, man. Like so I spotted that with him. So there was a time where I sent him an email, and I will never make that public, but I sent David an email. It was a long email. It had a lot of stuff in it. And, but, I was surprised David sent me a very nice note back saying, he responded to every point in that. It was really good. And then I sent him, and that was just about the tech. That's not about the other stuff. Then I sent him another email, and he responded. And he was very patient with me, very patient, very thoughtful. And I think that's where, at least I think, a little bit of respect developed as well. And I probably get to chat with him maybe once a quarter now, but but yeah, but look, since that topic came up, look, you say what you want. The fudders can go crazy. You can go nuts about. MrMC1 has.
Are you talking about this? Are you talking about this?
The team. Yeah, I know the team. I have respect for them. They have respect for me. I'm usually in the betas. I'm usually trusted. I sign the NDAs, not in all of them. But you know what? Screw that. I've earned that. You know what?
Yeah.
You want to earn that? Go earn it. But that's also, having access to some of these betas. I'm in multiple of them. I can't talk about them. The one I think you guys know that I'm in the VeVe-verse beta. Yeah. There's, some other stuff I'm super secret stuff that I know about and I'm involved in. Gives me a lot of confidence, man. Like, all I can tell you guys is if you're a fudder and you read that Disney and Epic Games news and you suddenly said, okay, really dead, like, please, you can write all that at your own risk.
Oh my gosh. Well,
highly recommend you write that. So, when what has to happen happens, you're going to look like really, really stupid, man. You will look really stupid. Really stupid. This is very big. VeVe is pursuing, David has very big dreams. He's pursuing very large. In fact, he spoke about, just directionally, he spoke about it at Auxerre with some people. He said, I'm working on one of the biggest things in my life. One of the biggest things. That's what he said, And so look, I believe in this company, in the collectible side of the business, in the comic side of the business. All the new categories are going to come out, the art. I believe in the OMI side of it as well. I had a lot of concerns about OMI. And to me, even if I believe in it, I needed to see some delivery before at least I started putting a little bit more in. I've seen it now.
Yeah.
Like there is OUP 0, OUP 1, bronze ticket. And I know that they've hired Foster and they're doing other stuff. That's enough for me to know that these guys are committed to the token, irrespective of any regulatory stuff. It'll be fine. Just like I'm okay with it. It's not financial advice. You do whatever you want to, guys. Maybe you see it's a shitcoin or whatever. You want to sell everything and go, that's great. You want to buy more, you do what you want to. I'm just talking about what I did, how I feel now and what I've done. So
yeah. So I want to address a couple things, right? I do know that some people complain and they're like, oh, like there's these, VeVe like favored people. And I think that you made a great point, right? In that you can earn trust and you can earn that. And listen, if I'm the CEO of a company and I've got people in my community with Sanjay's background, are you kidding me? Of course I'm going to bring him in and be like, hey, tell me about this stuff. Like you've got all of this crazy experience at the top echelon of business protocols. What do you see? What are your thoughts, right? Provide me feedback. Of course, he has earned that, right? And here's someone like I've interviewed David Yu on my channel, right? And I've tried to reached out with some potential partnerships and things. I'm like, hey, you should talk to this company, do some of these things. And I didn't get any access either. And like, I'm not complaining, but here's the thing.
But can I just put a pin in for a minute? All this access, every secret rare, every drop, I had to go for it, man. I paid for it with my money. There's no favors. There is no financial freaking favors. This is me investing my freaking time.
Yeah.
Right?
100%, right?
Let's be clear. I fork out money to buy collectibles just like everyone else, and that's not changed, and that will never change.
Yeah, right. So when I say favoritism or anything, like honestly, like you can consider it as, hey, he gets conversations with David, right? And that's important. But yes, on the drop side, look, if anyone's looked at Sanjay's wallet, right, the guy has spent a lot of money. Do you know what number you are in the top 500 wallets?
Oscillates somewhere between 25 and 30.
Okay.
Depending on which other mother stacker goes crazy.
There's some crazy, Bezos man and things, but here's the thing that I want to get to with this, right? Like I am someone who's not in the inner circle. I was lucky enough, it took me I think it was 8 months to get an interview with David, right? Like it took 8 months and I was just dogging. The guy was phenomenal. Here I am on this small channel and he still made time. And anyone who meets David in real life, I swear the fudders turn to bulls because they're just like, they get it after talking to him, right? And they see that vision. And David is an incredible salesman, honestly. He does have big dreams. And sometimes it's going to take a lot longer than he may think for those dreams to become a reality, right? And so when I see David tweeting some things, I more take it as, okay, this is the trajectory or where he wants to go, right? But do I take this as it's right around the corner, it's soon? No. I've learned, I made some mistakes early on, right? That early tweet about interoperability back in 2021 where they had that vision and then regulations came into play and there was a lot more that you've got to be nimble in that, right? But what I'm going to say is when you're talking about the fudders who can sit there and say VeVe's dead and Omi is dead, right? I'm just going to say this, and obviously this is my perspective as someone who, yes, I've invested in stocks. Yes, I've done a ton of financial analysis. I've done a ton of research in companies and what they do and how they make money and the wrong turns that they can make, all of those type of things. And as I've entered into the crypto space and I've been in a couple of venture capital, angel rounds and pre-seed funding, right, of these companies where I'm reading white papers and things, and I'm looking where all this is headed. All I can say is that the breadcrumbs have been there, but you got to be able to set aside emotion and the frustration of, hey, we were told certain dates and that didn't come to pass, right? And say, what is VeVe doing though? What are their actions now, right? That was in the past for sure. But what's happening now? And like you said, hiring Foster, right, to be their Ecomi community manager. Why do you need a community manager of a token that's not going to be doing anything anytime soon? Why did they start an Ecomi Discord? Well, all of a sudden, as that's starting to happen, all of a sudden we do get the bronze tickets announcements. Now we have MCP. We're starting to be able to use our MCP points. I remember, look, 3 months ago, I'm saying OMI has utility, and everyone's like, no, it's not utility because you can't use MCP points. And I'm like, if you think that we're not going to be able to use MCP points, like, I don't know what to tell you. So to me, this is utility. I can't use the points yet, but like it's coming. And because I have OMI, I'm getting this, right? So like you said, the people who make it in this space are the ones. First of all, there is risk. There's risk with anything in life, right? I can go to sleep tonight and not wake up tomorrow. like there's just risk. I walk out the door and get hit by a car, right? But like there's also calculated risk, and there's a lot of research that you can do. And when I look at all of the companies in the crypto space, so many of them are coming to us, right, as investors with an idea, right? Like, and a promise that it's going to get built. But that is a big risk there. Now I'm looking at VeVe and where VeVe has come from where they were and what they've built. And I'm like, man, like this to me is incredible. And I'm extremely bullish on the long-term vision of VeVe and OMI. And I'm going to pivot here for just a second. I find it interesting that you were willing to take a deep dive or, to go in deep and big on VeVe, and yet you were skeptical of the token. And so walk me through that, because to me, I feel like the OMI token is very much tied to VeVe. And so if the company was able to make VeVe a success or to build that out, what was your hesitation in OMI?
Yeah. Before I answer that question, the one thing I just wanted to clarify is, you said something about inner circle. So inner circle, I'm not in any VeVe's inner circle. I basically get, I have access enough to send a note once every 3-4 months in a non-intrusive manner about a specific topic. David, I'm coming to New York. I want to hold a VeVe Gold logo party. I would like if you and the team could come, and that would be like the access that I have. And then every once in a while, I'll get invited to participate in something that's new. 98% of whatever is new announced on VeVe, I have zero freaking idea, and I don't want to know, and they will never tell me. And so there's no inner circle. I'm not sitting and chatting, hey, how's the drop? What's coming next week? Or
Yeah.
Okay. Like, and this is literally just only access once in a while for events or something. And every once in a while I get invited to kind of go test something. Even that, I signed an NDA along with some other people in the community too, who also do that. So there's no special something. Anyway, so to your question about I love
that. Did you read that? That was so funny.
You can watch the
look, Sanjay, man. Look what you're bringing here, man. We got Sanjay here. Of course, people are skipping Tucker Putin for this.
We'll catch it later too, man.
Love it.
Just a nobody here. But anyway, but look, the token side. Look, I wasn't part of the pre-sale or something, so I have less of that. Like I didn't come in with it all on a promise, right? By the time I came in, there was already an app which was struggling, great IP but struggling in many ways. The token was sort of not really doing anything. To me, I was very clear. Look, a utility token is different from a cryptocurrency. A utility token is native to a app. It's tied to value creation in the app. And to me, I could already see the app, struggling from a technical standpoint and no real, utility as yet. And I was very clear in my head that the OMI utility can only come after VeVe gets to a certain point. Yes. You cannot start building in utility. Now, get onto exchanges, there's volume, there's trading. Shit, man, I was never like, there's many other things that have volume and trading and stuff. OMI's not, like, I don't need to be an OMI for volume and trading. And now like for some people it's about, I bought it 50, 60, whatever, and now I want this to happen. Now, I'm not there. I don't care. You can do what you want. You can speculate. To me, it's a utility token. The long-term value of OMI will come after VeVe is somewhat successful and integrated with OMI. And so for me, I said, look, and initially I didn't want to get any OMI, but then, all my friends had OMI. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll get a little bit. So I got over 4.5 million OMI, just a small token amount. I think it cost me like 20 grand or whatever, but it was expensive, man. I bought in high too, 007.
I
paid Yeah, I paid some prices. And then when I realized that OUP is now announced and all this other stuff, literally within hours, not even hours, minutes of reading that announcement, plus up to 10 million, right? And when I have that feeling that there's the next, big sort of level coming, I'll go. And I don't mind paying a little extra money because, when I have conviction that the long-term value, I can see that path to long-term value, I'll put it in just then, I'll get in then. And I may not get the lowest price. I'm okay with that. That's fine. Okay. But anyway, this is my thinking, man. Hey, Sleepin', how are you, man? It's good to see you. I see Bill Gardner here as well. Luke's here, Green Goblin. A lot of really cool people, man. Like, how you guys doing, man? I respect all of you guys. I watch a lot of your content. But anyway, that's the answer to you, man.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? And I look at OMI like in two different ways, right? I am in it for the utility, right?
Yeah.
And like I know as some of these articles have coming out of like the different price points or how much OMI you're going to need to stake or soft stake or however you want to term it right now. Like I want to get in while it's cheap because if the value comes in, right? If they implement that utility and there is a reason to truly buy the token, then that value is going to go up and I'll need less of the token to be able to hit some of those thresholds. So that was part of my reason for buying in. And I've dollar costed average. Like I remember like I bought in originally at 0.008, right? That was my first buy. I was super stoked. And and it just went down from there. But again, like this is where for me as an investor and just what I do, right? But when I'm bullish on a project and stuff, if it goes down, the question is, do I think that it can go over 0.008 in the future, right? I'm like, yeah, like I do. And so I bought at 0.008, right? And then it went down, and I'm like, well, like now it's at 0.005. Do I think it'll get higher than 0.005? Yeah, so I'm buying more, right? And as it kept going down, I just kept dollar cost averaging down because I did believe in the eventual integration of the token. And this is where, when I look at any sort of crypto project or crypto adjacent or however you want to term VeVe, right? Web 2.5, however you want to look at it. I'm looking at that potential long-term value there. And I just continued to see it. So I've just dollar costed average. I just talked to a buddy of mine. He put another 15K into OMI just recently. I walked him through the process. It was a pain getting him in the MetaMask and stuff because I talked to him about VeVe and what it was, right? And he totally got it. And but for me, I love buying at these lows when the FUD, man, that 0.005, I just wish it had stayed there longer. And you read these comments of, oh, like any little pump, and it's like, oh, it's I had to laugh. They were like, oh, it's just like the final death twitches of OMI before it goes to zero. And I'm just like, look, for me, I can't listen to those type of people, right? Because I'm like, what's your support behind your assessment here? Why do you think it's going to zero? And they can't articulate that. And so if they can't articulate, look, I am always open to, I'm not perfect. And like you said, I'm still learning, right? Like, and so if someone's going to bring up a good point that I'm like, I haven't thought of before, I want to listen to that. But when people are just attacking people and calling us you stupid or what a VTard or whatever they call us, like, or moon boys or something like that. And I'm like, well, give me your reasons why. And it's always like, well, 3 years ago, they promised this. I'm like, okay, well, 6 months ago, they promised this and it's happened, right? Like, are you keeping up? Are you just hanging on emotionally to something because you're frustrated? Yeah. You bought like bags at a higher price and you're resenting that and you're not taking ownership, right? And I just retweeted this phenomenal tweet thread from Chris Berniski. And but basically just talks about like owning your investment decisions, right? And if there's always someone else to blame, like that's a terrible place to be, right? Because that means you can never change anything. But if you take that and you own it and you say, I made the mistake, I believed something, I didn't do my homework, or I need to learn more about this space, and that's what I've continued to do. And that's why I love talking to people like you, Sanjay, who have all of this breadth of experience. And you know what? It's funny because there have been a couple times where I'm like, oh, like I don't see it that way, and that's okay, right? Like, but we get to explain those different points of view, and that's how we learn. But anyone who's just name calling and they're just like this emotional like cry for help or attention, like I just mute, man, because it's just like you're not adding to the space, right? You're subtracting from it. And I'm here to learn, continue to grow, and that's why I love people like you in the community, man. So
yeah, I think we've talked about two things now. That's absolutely right. By the way, we've talked about the collectible side, and we've talked about the and also we've talked about the crypto side of it, or the utility token side of it, OMI side of it. And there's another very important part of Web3, I think, is community. Yeah, this is not something that was part of Web2. It's not part of people's, general thinking, companies' general thinking in that space. They have loyalty programs, and that's like, have a nice day. You get points and you come and buy something. Web3 is a lot more about community. It's about AMAs. It's about people, your fans, interacting not just with you. There was an experience between the customer and the company. That was sort of Web2. This is about customers engaging with each other and you. And that sort of community side of it to Web3 is, I don't think, as well understood by a lot of different players in the space. And in my humble opinion, VeVe has a really good community. And if I were to say, why does VeVe have I may be wrong about it. We can disagree about it too. I think VeVe has a really good community, not because of VeVe, but because of the people that built that community. So, when you go back to the OGs in the space, when you think about somebody like Kaki and OBL and a lot of these people, right? And I would put OG Vault in there as well. I mean, I'd put Cavell in there. I'd put a lot of other people there, whether, irrespective of how, what you see them as today or not. I mean, I put them all in that bucket. These are all guys who built the community, and they've built different aspects to this community, they've, and I personally, I would say that the future of this company is bright, very bright, if VeVe is able to bring the fractured parts. So there's still a very strong, small community. But if VeVe is able to bring back in that full community, the original piece, and it requires some, it requires some thinking. The most important point here is that, when you think about a company, the cost to acquire a new customer is very high. The cost to bring in an existing customer is not as high. And face it, VeVe has disappointed its customers in some ways, right? They made them happy in some ways, they made them disappoint them. And not just in one or two times, many times, right? There's been delays, and it's like, there's a lot of problems. So, I think that David's strategy of kind of reaching out to a variety of people that the company has disappointed and, committing to a higher quality of service, a higher quality of engagement is a good one. And you may still say, well, they started Weverse, it's still delayed. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are, all those are true, right? Those are still true. But there's improvements that have been made along the way, and they aspire to get to a point where, like even Jeremy Padawar, right? He's right. Business is not about slow and steady wins the race in this world. It's about speed. VeVe does not have speed. But the couple of things that I have seen, I can't talk about them. There is the magnitude, the size of the prize is very high, and the speed is there. The speed is there in those things. Now, you may not believe me, and you don't have to believe me. I can't talk about it. I can't explain it. I won't say anything more. I don't want to get, lose my access and shit like that, But look, but going back to the community point, right? That it's very important for that community to come back together after some promises have been met and kept. And if it's delayed and met, it has to come with an apology. And I'm glad that the team is doing that. And I can see at least some of it, but I'm hopeful that everybody that we call a fudder today, no matter who they are, in some way or form, gets an apology, if not an individual apology, like a higher level kind of a reach out that says, look, we're sorry we've disappointed you. and we're here to meet every expectations. And I would love for the 300,000 people that bought unique wallets, that bought something, excluding the bots, come back and engage in a higher quality product, which includes collectibles, comics, art, stamps, music, a VeVe-verse, plus, which we obviously can't talk about. Hopefully gaming as well. And I know there was a question about gaming. We can talk about that in a little bit. I saw your note about that as well to Harish, so we can cover that in a little bit. But I wanted, that community is very important. And maybe I'll just put one more plug in there. David's handed out the VeVe Gold logo to a bunch of people. So a lot of people have got it, or some people have got it, some people didn't get it. There's a lot of sort of, there's always people believe, look, I should have got it, and maybe they should have, for whatever reason. Look, but either which way, that gold logo is something that it means something to David. As someone that got it, I believe that I wanted to build a community around that in a smaller micro manner. I'm not an influencer. I don't have the potential like you guys do to influence a larger, wider audience. But I felt like I could, in this small ecosystem, I could experiment and create something. And so I chose to invest a lot of time into it, create a list, a group, pull in David into it, pull in some of the other people into it, organize a couple of events now, invite the artists into it. And my intent there is to create this degree of access and environment. So even if the prices are down, when you look at those events, the people have such a wonderful time. And it's not just a gold logo event. That's just one part of it, but there's other events, right? There's also, there's other broader events and stuff. So I'm focused on building that VeVe Gold logo community. And I would like to see other sub-communities get built as well. I would like to see the overall community engage in certain, like a big, massive thing. And yeah, and I think that one thing that VeVe can do to help that is to really roll out a high-quality ambassador, influencer, whatever program, and have different tiers. There should be something for everyone. If you're like an individual who produces videos and publishes it, that's, some level, the highest, the guys who do it right should have something in it. The guys who put out content about one specific topic and in a niche manner should have, the people who do it on a bigger scale should have it. And they should have like a top tier to invite the guys who have 20 million followers and 30 million followers and stuff. And it's okay if they kind of give them special deals and considerations and stuff like that too. Performance-based kind of stuff. I hope it gets built. I've written a paper for them on it saying, here's some principles I like about it, and here's how I'd like to see it kind of done. It's just ideas and input. So we'll see what comes out of it.
Sanjay, I'm just absorbing, man, the wisdom, and I completely agree with community. I mean, I've went to Cardano parties, and Cardano has an incredible community as well, right? Like they're diehards, XRP Army, diehards and things. But man, there is nothing like going to a VeVe event, And I, at the time, in real life events that I've gone to, I didn't even have the gold and silver logo yet. And for those who complain, I should have gotten one, or look, I just realized I'm like, this is something I gotta have, And so, I paid a decent price for my logo, and I still haven't even gone to an in real life event yet. I thought they were going to be coming to DCon, so I didn't plan for that. I didn't plan to go to New York Comic Con because I thought they were coming to DCon. Was definitely bummed when that didn't happen, but look, I'm just planning for it. But I'm going to disagree with you on something here, Sanjay.
Oh yeah, let's hear it, man. Let's hear
it. I disagree that you are not an influencer. Now, you may not have a YouTube channel, right? But definitely, like when you speak, people listen, and I think that speaks volumes of who you are and the type of information and the insight that you provide there. And I was just absorbing all of that. And you talk about this sort of ambassador type program. I think that's the next step that VeVe should do. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, right? Like you have the ambassador program where, hey, as you bring people into this space,
Yeah.
maybe you get 2% of, the first 2 months or 1 month or 6 months of funds that people put in, right? Like into maybe the web app as opposed to the Apple app, right? So they're getting that, like, you get people in there that are going to talk about that, be passionate about it, and really have that influence. Goodness gracious, like the sky is the limit for that. And I'll give you a perfect example. I don't know if you remember this. I'm a big international football fan, right? So I lived in Spain for a couple of years. I didn't know much about football or soccer at the time.
Yeah.
And I had this Spanish teacher, and she came to me. So I'm in Madrid, right? And she comes to me and she's like, "Hey, like, do you have a team?" And I was like, "I don't know what you mean by that. Like, what do you mean, what team, right?" Because for her, there's only one sport, and I'm like, "No," and she's like, "So are you Barcelona or Real Madrid?" And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have it. I don't know those teams. And she's like, "Well, you need to be Real Madrid." And I was like, "Why?" And basically, long story short, like her in Spain, like the families are like, family is a big deal, right? And so when they have like a party, it's like extended family. But her second cousin was Raul, who, I don't know if you know who Raul is. Like, he was at the time like the lead striker
Yeah.
for Real Madrid, right? And so I drew in there, but where I'm going with this is, so I really got to follow La Liga, and in December of 2021, it was Sergio Roberto. It was Sergio Roberto, Sergi. Oh man, now I'm blanking out. One of the Barcelona football players posted a video of VeVe's Captain America secret rare. Okay, someone showed him that,
Yeah.
right? And all it's going to take, right, is for these influencers through like an ambassador. There's got to be incentive. Like there should be
Yeah.
incentive for these people who could
For
truly
sure.
bring and build communities inside
Yeah.
VeVe. I agree with you that honestly, like,
Yeah.
if you want to have 20 million followers and things like that, like, they are bringing so much value to VeVe.
Yeah.
Let's reward them for that, though. But like,
For sure.
I saw in Twitter Spaces early on in or like early 2022, Rudy Gobert, an NBA player, in an AMA with VeVe, right? Like, as things were kind of catching on, and I think that it's going to get there again. But like, I love what you're talking about, the community. I really appreciate the gold and silver logo community that you've built so far, and it's really fun just interacting with those people who truly, they're passionate about collecting, and they have this like a group of like-minded individuals who also see where VeVe can go, and so
a lot of celebrities in VeVe as well. They stay very quiet. They don't talk much. They don't say much, but they collect quietly. I mean, Josh Emmett is one of them. Josh, the UFC fighter. And he was in the UFC 296, won by a KO. And Josh had joined the VeVe Gold logo group. He's been collecting for way longer. Long time. He's a long time. He's OMI for a long time. He's at VeVe for a long time. And so he joined the VeVe Gold logo group. I kind of just didn't make a big deal out of it, just kept quiet and stuff. And he stays very humble and quiet. And he came out to Crypto XR. He's engaged with everybody, taking pictures with everybody. He's a very humble person. There's a lot of others as well in that group. And like, there's top quality international lawyers who are in the app. Like, these are guys who are multi-millionaires several times over, and really high net worth kind of global lawyers with scale on VeVe collect. I got to know, because I'm the guy who runs the group, right? So these guys, like, they hit me up, and I was like, oh, okay, oh shit, I know you. There's a couple of other actors and a couple other athletes and stuff. I just don't say much. It's like, you have your privacy. I will never say anything. But there's some serious people. I mean, the one guy who was quite public about his VeVe collection, and he left for the most part. He sold most of it. Maybe he still has some. He's an English football player, Ollie Harfield. In fact, I bought his MC1 from him when he wanted to kind of sell some stuff. But yeah, there's been people. I don't know if a lot of them are still here or not. But Chris Moneymaker, I think, was as well in some of the AMAs. I think he's more of an OMI guy.
Yeah, Ollie
But yeah,
Hartfield. I remember interacting with him a few times.
yeah,
You know, he used to follow me, and then I think he got a little bit
yeah,
disillusioned and left, and no longer does. But I still kind of track and wish the best for his success. And Josh Emmett,
yeah,
you know, I have to shout out Mr. V, right? And it's Will My. They did a phenomenal. If you haven't seen the interview they did with Josh Emmett, it was so
yeah,
cool to hear like Josh talk about like
yeah,
going for the drops. Like hear these like
yeah,
big people, right? And they're like sitting there trying to push the button
yeah,
as fast as possible. It's so
yeah,
fun. Like we're all on that same level
yeah,
and we have that same passion. And
yeah.
man, it's great. Yeah,
And a lot
yeah,
of artists too, a lot of artists too. Like what you'd find is the and the reason. So we talked about community, right? But if you think about the community of customers, a community of artists, and the intersect of artist community and the customer community meeting. So Ron English, I went to just one event. I thought there'd be like hundreds of people there in Dallas. It was like just his family and a few people. I got to hang out with him. So humble, so simple. And since then, I've got him on text, and he tells me when he's coming out, or some event going on. I had the fortune of meeting Simone Legno, Tokidoki. Same thing. I invited him to the party. He was so gracious, and he said, "Yes, look, I'll come, this, that, and the other, and stuff." And then, I gifted him a hat with VeVe, this VeVe gold logo hat. So for some of the artists, I gave them the hat with their name on it. So I gave Peter Momoko one. She was very gracious. Simone, and they're all, very friendly. So Mumbat, Jason Naylor, Alison Bamcat, they're all very, Jermaine, oh my God, he's such a nice guy, Frank Kozik, obviously. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
I like that.
Amazing guy. He's a big comic guy, by the way. If you're like a comic person, like Sleeping Comics or Comics and Crypto, you want Jermaine on your show. You'll be surprised. He actually might know more than you. He is very, very solid in his knowledge of comic. He's been a collector for a very long time. He knows his shit inside out. But yeah, Jermaine, there's all these guys. They're very nice. They interact with the community, and that's the access that you get by being in VeVe. So yeah, the prices, like whatever, man. There's that part of it, and there's the community part, and that's rich.
So Danny DeBoll said this once, I think on around the Kobe-verse, when I was there, and he just nailed it, and I got to give him credit for it. But he was like, no matter what the token does, like I always say that, like, how do you say it? Like I made a profit, or it was a great investment because it was a successful investment because of the people I've met in the community, right? And I have to second that. Like I've made so many friendships. In fact, like Spencer from Comics and Crypto, like has stayed like over at my place, right? And I've hung out with him, and I'm like, dude, anytime you're in Salt Lake, like you and Sean want to come out, because I know that they go to the Sundance Film Festival, and I'm like, look, if you guys don't want to rent out a big place over there, or you just want to stop it, like you've got a place, right? And I've been able to hang out with them. Met Metaverse Life, did that interview, like that was a lot of fun, and I mean, yeah, just so many people. So I want to pivot a little bit. Well, not necessarily pivot. I want to backtrack, right? Because you've shared some things and people got really excited. And I want to share this video that you kind of alluded to that's been going crazy, right? All over Twitter and with the VeVe fam. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Sure.
Let's see if I can't. Yeah, here we go. All right. So I'm going to hit play. Let me know if you can hear this.
Yeah.
Into a strategic relationship with Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, to not only invest in the company Epic, which took a minority stake, $1.5 billion investment, but we're also creating with them a huge Disney universe that will be for gaming and for play and for watching and even for shopping, for digital goods and maybe ultimately physical goods that will live alongside Fortnite, but be completely interconnected with Fortnite. And this represents probably our biggest foray into the game space ever, which I think is not only timely, but an important step when you look at the demographic trends and you look at where Gen Alpha and Gen Z and even millennials are spending their time in media. It's pretty dramatic in terms of the amount of time spent in games. In fact, almost equal to, in some demographics, or equal to or greater than how people are spending their time on movies. And into
Okay.
Yeah.
So this has been going viral, right? And rightfully so. The big announcement, Disney has invested, it was like $1.5 billion, right? And they bought about 10%, so minority ownership in Epic Games, which is Fortnite is their big thing, right? And you've seen kind of like the rendering that they did of like Avatar and all these Disney things, and there's been a lot of speculation, right? Like there's this golden, look, it's the partner statue. Let me back up. It's the partner statue. It's been interesting to hear people like, so you've got the fudders, right, who are like, oh, like that's it. Disney is doing their own thing with Fortnite, and that's where they're going to build everything. And so VeVe is dead, right? So you've got that side, and then you've got the Moon Boys that are like, I swear that this looks like, the partner statue, like the golden moment, and that means that everything's interoperable, and VeVe's going to be a part of that. I would just love to get your initial thoughts on kind of let me back up. I'm going to provide mine because then I want to hear yours and your perspective as you've been able to do things like the VeVe verse, right? And obviously you don't share anything you're not supposed to, and this might not even be tied at all, but when I look at this, I guess I think initially this is really just Fortnite and Disney and like gaming and kind of like metaverse gaming, right? But there's no ownership there still, right? Like where there's this transfer of assets and stuff. But what I do think this also could allow for down the road, right, is the ability to basically token gate and say, if you want this particular skin in the game, right, if you want to be able to do this, you have to own this token. And there will be an API that like a call to VeVe, right, to demonstrate that that's your wallet or something. But that could be much down the road, or it could be truly completely separate. And Disney's going to continue to do its thing with its NFTs with VeVe. VeVe has talked about like worlds in the VeVe verse, right, of IP branded worlds. And so I guess one of the things that Bob said is that it's going to be its own thing, separate but connected to Fortnite, which then I do still think leaves the door open for the IP branded world of the VeVe-verse to have some sort of connection within that. So those are my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Thank you for the question. I think, first of all, I'd say very astute observations. My thoughts on this would be a few things, and I'll be super careful about what I say here on this topic. So the first thing is gaming is a very important and interesting part to just everything we do, right?
Yeah.
Collecting is another very interesting part. Not all collecting is through gaming, there's collecting is a different kind of a thing, right? And then if you leave gaming, if you look at gaming and collecting, right, there's another whole thing around experiences, right, with the whole whether it's metaverses or whether it's a movie, an alternate ending to a movie that you get to see. It doesn't even have to be anything in the metaverse. It could be just like access to an alternate ending or a continuation from a movie scene into a game, right? So these guys are seeing all the trends and the patterns, right? People stop going, watching that many movies. Shorter form content became more popular. Television became popular, right? Shows, TV shows and stuff became popular. Even though people watched them for freaking longer than a movie, but the shorter format became interesting. Then the videos started, these shorter form videos started getting interesting, right? So they're seeing those patterns and they're saying, look, we want our content to go into various types. Disney, what is Disney? Every ride ends in a concession stand. Every Disney ride ends in a concession stand. If your Disney ride doesn't end in a concession stand, so that continuation of that journey is very important. And I'm so excited that they've done this deal with Epic, that they have been able to create this opportunity where they're able to take Disney content that then flows into a game, right? So there's a connection from the content they produce to the game. There's a connection from the game to commerce, and there's maybe there's more to it, right? And I don't see that as something that's a exclusive sort of arrangement. Now, for sure, when it comes to games, they're going to put most of their time and effort and energy there. But it doesn't. But there's a lot of other relationships that Disney has, and when you think about collecting, it's different. You're not going to play a game to necessarily go and, how many of these guys who play games go and buy a $10,000 partner statue, or like a $500 something, right? That's a different market. Now, it's true that in the end they might have spent $1,000 in a year or whatever it is, but there's a different market. There's different audiences, different markets. And then when you think about like comics, right? Comics are different, right?
Yeah.
Not every comic player is a gamer, right? And not every gamer is going to buy a comic. And I don't know what that overlap is. So you have, and Disney's very smart. So my sense, they obviously, Epic was part of the accelerator in 2017. It's something that they've followed, they've encouraged, and they've seen the success of Marvel Snap. They've seen the success of a lot of other things. So my sense is that they are going to drive a lot of these things, with these companies. And my sense is that this is very exciting. I would see Disney, Marvel, ESPN, and all these guys doing a lot more different types of shows. I would see them also investing in a lot more different types of projects. I can't comment on whether they have or plan or something, investments in something else beyond this. I cannot comment on that. But it's logical. They've done this. The market reaction was incredible, right? It was a brilliant move. At least it seems like a brilliant move, and they'll do more of it. And my sense is that for VeVe, it's also very exciting because there's a lot of other licensors, and these other licensors are going to be looking at a lot of different types of things. And my sense is that there'll be more partnerships for different things.
I like how careful you were, and I definitely didn't mean to put you in a spot where you're kind of like.
I'm trying to study my face. Yeah, I know what you're doing.
I was zooming in for any sort of muscle twitches and things like that, right?
All the blinking.
Yeah, I got a body language expert that's gonna read it with me as
look, man,
look later on. But look,
I'm telling you, I'm not. This is like fucking amazing news that this thing happened. Yes, and it bodes very, very, very well. I'm not saying VeVe is going to become the partner of choice for Epic Games for the Marvel Mighties or whatever. If that happens, that happens. But my sense is that there would be alternate things going on. Cavernous is funded by Epic Games. Yes.
Is Cavernous really funded by Epic Games? Do we know that for sure?
I don't know the details of that. I don't know the details, but we can ask Anthony. So I'm in a smaller group with a few people that have the Apple Vision Pro that includes Anthony. So we can ask him. He might join a space actually. Dr. Prophet very keen to have Anthony join.
Yeah, I need
like
to get
with all of
Anthony
us,
on.
like not some private exclusive thing, just like have an X or Discord or something.
Yeah.
Everybody's there asking questions and whatever. Obviously he won't comment on VeVeverse. But somebody blew up. He was doing something with this thing and somebody blew up like his screen, and there was like a little VeVe icon on the bottom. And it's not the blue icon, right? It's not the blue icon. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, and
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, we know that Cavernous is developing VeVeverse, right?
Yeah.
It's not a secret. Anyway.
Yes.
So
right. Hey, look, Bill, we'll get.
Don't go buy the green logo, okay? Don't go buy the green.
It was green logo.
Fuck, man. Go
All
take a
right.
look. It's public, right? It's on.
Yeah. Look,
Oh,
see, and
yeah.
that's the thing is there's little breadcrumbs if people are paying attention, right? And I'll say this: the fam is phenomenal at like the Sherlock Holmesing of like anything.
Yeah, very
Sometimes to a
clever.
fault, right? Where they read into things that like they're
Yeah.
like David did this, and I'm like, I think that David just likes Pokemon, and he had Pokemon pancakes.
Yeah.
That's all I'm reading into that, right? But then, yeah. Anyway, okay. So Jess is saying that it was the green logo. Um, let's see, how many only did wait what?
Oh,
Did
not a
somebody-
lot. 10 million, a little over
10
10 million.
million? Okay,
Yeah,
there you
but
go.
I'll increase it. I'll increase it at some point when I have the next. But I know there's a little bit more to be had with more than 10 million. But I'm believing in Omi. I'm just not. I've not jumped fully on the bandwagon as yet, but I'm there. But I'm also more of a comic collector. You know, I spend like I load gems and I buy. Technically, I could go and buy like a lot of Omi, but I like buying a lot more comics. I'm buying a lot of the secret rares. I'm buying a lot of the commons, the older Grail commons and stuff. I'm finishing up some of the older sets. Whenever I see somebody kind of, you know, like there's a collectible that's selling at like 50 gems, and suddenly somebody offers it like 35 gems, and I don't have it, I'll go finish. You know, I'll finish that set.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, but you know, just going back to the overall point, this is epic, you know, no pun intended, kind of deal, and you know, this is bodes very well for everybody in the space. And my sense is that VeVe will have its own very, very big, you know, thing. VeVe will have its own very, very big thing, and everybody who's fighting VeVe will have egg on their face if they say something stupid now. So don't say something stupid that you're
I
gonna.
love this. I love this.
Like,
You know,
yeah.
and again, I take it as people who just
Yeah.
aren't. They're not. They're not mature in this space and understanding right companies and the progress and delays that can happen. But
Yeah.
so there was a video that I was going to make like a year ago, and it was way more of like a speculation of what's possible coming down the road, right? So and I never put it together because at the time I wasn't doing live streams. I was trying to just record it. And I am not a good editor. And look, like a 10-minute video would take me like 5 hours to edit. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. So I'm going to break it down here because I've never done it. But like, so when you go to Disney now, they have these bands. And there's like, what do you remember what those are called? Like some sort of smart band type thing, right?
Yeah. I've seen them.
So, and there's like Bluetooth capabilities and things with those. On top of that, they're establishing, or they did a partnership with T-Mobile in their parks, right? Where basically, I don't know if it was going to be like Wi-Fi that they could offer in there, but some sort of cellular or Wi-Fi connection that they could build inside the parks. And when you talk about experiences, Disney is all about experiences, right? And so when you talk about like, hey, a different alternate ending to a movie or anything, I know that Disney is definitely looking at digital. And there are rides where you can put stuff on, you put like the helmet on and like you're just like riding, you know, and the machine is moving, but like you're seeing everything that way, right? But I believe that down the road, there's absolutely a world in which, you know, your NFTs, your VeVe digital collectibles, right, can provide you access to a band or something that's connected. And you can be like, hey, at the end of this ride, or at the end of this like little movie or something like that, I can scan this and I get access to that alternate ending, or I get access to another part of the ride or a different version of, because now they have these rides where there's like multiple different ways the ride can go. And maybe if you scan that, right, you get access to go on that. And so they're adding value.
That's all easy stuff. You know, there's more to it. Like if you go back and look at the companies that were in Disney's Digital Accelerator, I've seen the video, by the way. There's one where there's a Latin American company, you know, founder who is working on augmenting. So whenever you go to a specific part, you know, of a street, you know, if you kind of figure out what you need to do, it's like gamified. Figure out what to do, you can augment something there, a statue there. It could be an NFT, it could be something else. This could be a digital thing. I did this ride in Disney Paris, So it's the Web of Spider-Man. It's like this whole, high-tech Spider-Man ride. So you get in, they give you these glasses, you put them on, and then you get into this, sort of this cubicle kind of thing where it's 4 people sitting side by side. And basically, every time it pulls up in front of a door, it's like a warehouse door, it lifts. And then what you're seeing is virtual reality, right? In that VR world, there's a Spider-Man fighting these, spiders. And the game is to help Spider-Man fight these hundreds of spiders. And so you do like this, you're sitting there, you just kind of bend your wrist like this.
Yeah, it tracks your wrist.
What happens is, in the screen, wherever you point, there's like a web that goes and strikes the spiders, and you're killing them, and you're getting points for it. It's like so many amazing experiences, digital experiences that they can create. And there's so many technologies out there. But the one thing that I would say I'm very, 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 very excited about with this, the Apple
let's get
Vision
into
Pro,
the AVP.
There is VR that's super immersive, but there is AR that works. I can put all my apps, screens, apps, email, chat, this, that, in different parts of the room, and I can use it. So augmented reality in this is a real thing. And right now with Apple, the way it works is they've got mostly productivity stuff, but it's just a matter of time before you can start augmenting other stuff. So we can augment VeVe's app in it, but we can't augment the stuff that's in the augmentation as yet, right? That has to be enabled. And then obviously there's VeVeverse and all that stuff. With VR capability, with avatars, with all of that stuff. So I look, that whole space, and you should have Atomic Z06 VeVe NFT Comics on your show. He's experimented, played with a lot. You should actually try and get Anthony Duca on the show as well. He's the CEO of Cavernous. These are all amazing people that you want to bring on the channel. I would say people that I learned from, right? Dr. Prophet, if he comes on, I know he doesn't do very many of these interviews, but he would be another, he'd be another one to connect as well. But really amazing people, man. And they can tell you, the future. But it's the first time that I felt AR technology is here. Now, it's obviously expensive. It might take a while to kind of build, but the tech works.
I want to ask you something, right?
Yeah.
As I always say, like I'm invested in a lot of different projects.
Yeah.
I'm extremely passionate about VeVe, the community. There's just like nothing like it. But one of the projects that like I actually just bought some more of, their token, was Animal Concerts. And something that struck me as very interesting is you talked about you want some sort of something with Alicia Keys, right?
Well, I have, right? So when you put on the Apple Vision Pro,
tell me about what that was or what you watched there.
So basically, when you put on your Apple Vision Pro, and by the way, anybody can experience this in the store. Go to Apple Store, they do the demo for free. They'll do a 20-minute demo. They'll measure eyesight or whatever. They'll put that on you and they'll walk you through the experience, so you can see it there. And highly recommend it. If you're listening to this stream, you've not gone to an Apple Store and done the Apple Vision Pro demo, please go do it. But anyway, so when you put it on and in that immersive experience, they cover the face completely. It just goes dark, and then suddenly there's like this Steinway's, piano out there, and Alicia Keys is standing in front of you, and it's in her rehearsal room. So there's a couple other people, there's other instruments, they're talking to each other. She's telling them, "Can you do this?" Blah blah blah, and then she starts belting it out, man. And and it's like she's standing right in front of you. You can see like every kind of crease, wrinkle on her face, it's just like so close, it's so real, and she's so incredibly talented. It's amazing, that experience. Now you can watch a video of it online. It's not the same. It's just not the same. People can describe it to you like the way I am. It's not. You have to go and check it out. There's another one which is a dinosaur. It's like an app. So it pulls up like a screen, right? It's just like a screen. So you're thinking you're watching a movie like this,
Mhm.
And you think it's just sort of a augmented 2D kind of thing. And there's a little butterfly, it's lava rocks and there's a little butterfly flying. And you hold up your hand like this, and the butterfly recognizes your hand and comes and sits on your hand. And obviously it's not a real butterfly, but what you're seeing is a butterfly sitting on your hand, and it's fluttering. It's so real. And then suddenly there's a little like a reptile out there, and you think the reptile's going to eat this tiny little reptile. You think it's going to eat it, and then you hear this grunting sound, and it's like this dinosaur, huge dinosaur, and he comes and his face is like like in your face, and it's still like a screen, right? So you feel like it's on the screen and stuff. And suddenly there's another dinosaur comes that's actually trying to attack you. So this one's trying to save you. And this dinosaur turns around and his tail whips. And the tail is not in the screen. It comes from outside the screen and whips. And it's like, oh shit.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, you're standing there and you're moving your head back because you don't want to get and I tried petting the dinosaur. The moment I reached out, he moved his head like that.
No way.
So if you think about this, man, like if you think about all the dinosaurs we have on VeVe, right? If you're able to, I'm not saying it exists today. If you're able to bring those Jurassic Park dinosaurs into an environment in VeVeverse, and you can interact with the dinosaur, meaning when you move left, the dinosaur moves left. When you look right, he follows you. If you smile at him, he's friendly. If you kind of, scowl at him, he kind of, like breathes fire and shit on your face. Like those experiences, man, like that is so mind blowing, man. Like obviously the latter part is what I'm thinking would happen, but the first part, the Alicia Keys part, the other part is real. You can go and experience it today, right? Literally in a store.
Yeah.
And then there's, sports in that manner. There's all these other things, a lot of other things. This is, I would say there's a range of different types of content to show you what it's capable of, but it's not exactly content rich today. And it's, it just came out. There'll be a lot more stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me really so. Animal Concerts, right? Their whole thing is concerts in the metaverse, and one of the partners is Alicia Keys, and Snoop Dogg, and Billy Ray Cyrus, and like several artists. And when you're describing this, right, like that's what I'm looking forward to. And so, I mean, Animal Concert is definitely a high risk, high reward play for me. But I definitely, after hearing your Alicia Keys thing, I was like, oh my gosh, like the ability for this to happen, and it might be like,
and it's on Apple TV, by the way. So you may not see it on your regular. I haven't checked if I can get it on a regular television or whatever. But Apple TV works. So within Apple TV, there's like one band of immersive content, and you can see a few videos there. They probably increase it, and it says episode 1, and there's no episode 2 in it. So they're building some content, or they will build that content. So Apple TV works. Disney Plus works. I don't know if Disney Plus quite has immersive content right now. I haven't checked. I see the regular shows and stuff, but I'll dive into that a little bit further. And then there's custom apps, right? The custom apps with all this stuff. So yeah. Have you, Dr. Stuff, tell me you've been to an Apple store, brother.
I mean, I have an Apple store real close by me. I haven't gone to do it. So I have held an Apple
I would
Vision
go
Pro
tomorrow morning.
in my
It's so
hands.
it's just, man, this is like living in darkness with candles, and then suddenly there's like a light bulb, like you'd go and see the freaking light bulb, man. It's that kind of engineering.
Well, so here's my question for you, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple things. Obviously, a high price point at $3,500, but when I think of like the first iPhone, I had the first iPhone, the very first iPhone.
Yeah.
Right? I had that. Yeah. I was excited. I still have it today. I wish it was. I wish I'd kept it in better condition, right? Like it'd be worth a lot more. But there was a lot that just hadn't been built out yet, and I think that I look at the Apple Vision Pro, and even some of the things that you're describing are exciting. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, I think next year, right, or in 2 years, we're gonna have Apple Vision Pro 2 or Apple Vision Pro Lite, but there's gonna be so many more apps that really in the space, including VeVe. I think within the next year, VeVe's gonna have that all built out. I would say probably within the next year, I would expect that VeVe has some like that application, that integration in there where I can see the VeVeverse, I can see my collectibles and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, there's going to be a lot more interactive stuff. So do you think that it's worth getting it now with it? I've heard that it's pretty heavy, you know? So yeah, like as opposed to in a year from now, they're going to be able to find out ways to reduce it and then make it better. And then there's going to be more apps applicable. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on getting it now or maybe waiting a little bit.
I don't know the answer to that question. So, you know, it's a tough one. Look, obviously, I made the decision to go get it. It was not an easy decision to just jump at it because, you know, always with first generation products, there's challenges and, you know, all that stuff. It still is a heavy kind of a, you know, piece. That's one. It's heavy and it's expensive. Those are the two kind of cons to it. Other than that, everything else is great. Right? It's kind of simple as that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some people complain content is light, but that's a temporary problem. You know, it's not really a problem. Like, yeah, you know, there's enough in there for you to have fun to start with, and enough in there for productivity. Look, but to answer your question though, I would say, look, there's no way to know how this plays out, other than they're making good money. There's 200,000 plus headsets that sold for 3,500 to 4,500, right? If you get all the upgrades and stuff, and that's 700 mil, more than 700 mil, and that number might be $1 billion. So they've already made $1 billion in like a few days on this product. And to the extent that they can keep selling the more expensive version and you know, get a lot of that market, then there may be an option of doing like a, you know, like the cheaper phone came out later, but the cheaper phone came out how many years later now? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many years later did the cheaper phone come out? The version 1 didn't have a cheaper version to it.
No, it didn't have
the version 2. It took like
it was
years
like,
to get
it was like iPhone 10 or something like that, where they had like
so that took forever to come out.
Yeah.
And
that's true. That's a good point.
So, you know, this is not financial advice, but look, if you're in a certain, like we all have different toys in the house, right? Like televisions cost a couple of grand, right? $1 to $2 grand, like the bigger screens and stuff like that. Music systems cost some money. You know, there's all these other considerations there. Computers cost money. And with this, now you can basically have your screen as big as you want. Your iPad is as big as you want. You can have all these other types of things. You can watch. There's an NBA kind of thing with the Vision Pro, where this guy's sitting and he's got like 6 screens or 8 screens. The main screen, he's got 8 different games running in parallel, and he's got the scores of all the games below, not streamed, all. They're all like 33 games or whatever. And he's got his social media on one side, and he's got something else on the other side. And like that, think about watching like the NCAA playoffs, man, the first and second round games. Like that is incredible if you can have all these screens and all this stuff. And so, like, you know, depending on what your financial situation is, I mean, if you can't put a meal on the table, you know, this is probably not the thing that you want to rush to get. If you have a decent job, you know, and you got to suck it up, you know, and not go for one holiday to get this product, I'd probably go do it, right? And then the other thing is, you can go finance it, right? Like everything in America, like you can finance. Like everybody makes car payments, house payments, phone payments, right? Not financial advice again, but to experience something like this, I'd do that. Is the price of this product going to fall like rapidly in the next few months? Personally, I don't think so, because Apple's not known to do that. You know, you would piss off your most loyal customers by dropping the prices. Now, Samsung, I would say different. LG, I would say would do it differently. They crash the prices. And Apple does not usually. I mean, if you look at the long history of what they've done, when they launch the product, they don't crash the price after that. Over a period of time, they'll offer a different product, which is lower in functionality and scale and whatever, and quality. And that is cheaper, right? So when will that product come out? I don't know. Will that product be substantially cheaper? I don't know. Will that product be substantially, you know, now there may be a next generation of this thing that could be even better than this, and you say, okay, I should probably wait for that. Again, I don't know, man. You know?
Interesting. Well, I definitely gonna have to go check out, go to the
Yeah.
Apple Store, and there'll probably be
It
a
doesn't
crazy.
cost you to explore it. Why don't you make your own
Yeah,
decision how badly you want it?
yeah,
And
yeah.
explore the tech. If nothing else, explore the tech. It's
Okay,
incredible.
so here's a question in tandem with this. Then,
Yeah.
what are some things that you think now that you've used the Apple Vision Pro, right? What do you think this technology, where does this take us? Like, what are some of the possibilities? And like, even like with VeVe, right? Is it that I can walk around in my VeVe verse and pin things, but like, do other people have to be like also wearing the Apple Vision Pro? Like, because I've heard like
That's
the
all
clean thing.
superficial stuff. Look, productivity and personal productivity and entertainment are superficial things.
Okay.
If you think about this product, when you wear this, first of all, from an education standpoint, if you want, someone to know what it felt like to be Rosa Parks on the back of the bus and experience racism, you can create a virtual environment where you're sitting next to Rosa Parks and you're experiencing that racism. If you want to know what it felt like MLK walking the bridge, you can create that experience where MLK is walking the bridge and giving a speech and you're walking next to him. And they can make it in a black and white version of it or whatever else it is. So you can make all of these. If you're learning how to dissect a frog, you can see a frog in your vision. It can tell you, first it can show you how to do it. And then it can tell you as you're cutting in, go a little more left, a little more right. Yep, you got it there. Go gentle there. Then when you think about even work, right? So learning, I think learning can change. Now, obviously, I don't know whether they believe that young kids can wear this today and all that stuff, but at some age, you can wear this thing and it's, all that stuff. Then the other thing is like, if you're an aircraft mechanic and you, the frogs, yeah, those Pepe guys, right? Right. Filling my feed. God damn it. Anyway, so if you're an aircraft mechanic and a plane comes in and you have to kind of do a diagnostic visually, right? And this thing is actually looking at it and it tells you, it can, in that AR environment, it can tell you if there's something that's not right with AI applied to it. Then if something needs to be fixed, it can point out, hey, there are 3 issues, 1, 2, 3, red circle, red circle, red circle. And when you point, you can go to the right one. And you're close to it, zoom in, and it tells you this is what the problem is, and this is what you do. It can tell you, hey, this is this type of gasket or this type of thing. It needs this type of torch to solder something or rivet or whatever. And, those kind of things. So if you want to fly a plane, something happens to the pilots, and there's nobody to fly the plane, you can put this on, look at it, and you theoretically can tell you, okay, now do this, and it's studying, it's looking at all the controls, right? Exactly on the dash, and it's telling you, do this, do this, do that. I mean, obviously you don't need to do it because there's maybe AI that can fly a plane now, right? They already have that autopilot and stuff like that. So, but there's so many applications like that. If you're a plumber, if you're like an electrician, if you're anybody else, you can wear this thing and it kind of helps you stuff. The other thing is if you're a watchmaker, it's a new kind of a watch, which you kind of new model of the watch. You tap the watch and then you say open, and it pulls apart the watch and shows you all the layers to it. And then you see, what are the layers, and it tells you how to open it, and you kind of do every step by step. I mean, the business applications are so incredible. There's so many business applications of this beyond just productivity, personal productivity and entertainment. And I think those applications will come up. And there's probably things that I don't even, obviously video gaming and all that stuff is all, stuff that we're focused on today. But I think there's a lot more things that can be done.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Well, so a couple things, 3GP Media was like, some of this technology has been, available and applied in engineering since the 90s.
Yeah.
True, but not.
And they use the eye test too, by the way. When you go to eye doctor and they do a scatter plot, right? The vision test where you have to see where it's flashing and click things. And when you see the house and it goes back and forth, like that's all optical technology, man. Like that stuff is, so it's yes, the technologies existed, but that ability to bring all these different technologies together with a LiDAR, with that ability to read the, the hand thing, and then the ability to see through and stuff, those are all, there's this progress. There's a lot of other stuff. They brought in a lot of different patents. What I've heard is Apple's worked on this for 9 years. There are more than 5,000 patents and more than 4,000 engineers have worked on it to build this product.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, so my wife, she's got a master's degree in immunotoxicology and microbiology.
Okay.
And I was talking with her a little bit just about this technology in general, because I mean, she's a professor, right? And so she
Yeah.
teaches this. And I'm like, how powerful like would that be as you're talking, like these microorganisms, and they're
Yeah.
looking into a microscope, right? And they're trying to
Yeah.
identify this, but like what if they
Yeah.
could all of a sudden literally be immersed in it, right? And walk through and be like, okay, this is this spike protein, right? And this is how this is interacting here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really teach these students like the level of comprehension and true like
Yeah.
substantial understanding of things is just magnified so much with
Yeah.
this. I am like excited and terrified for like how quickly, like these new generations can come up and learn, and the like that in-depth knowledge and how they can then change things, as you can then take a 3D model of something and walk through and better understand it, as opposed to just seeing it in a microscope. And like you said, it's not just like being able to walk through it, but then also getting data feeds and stuff where you're like, okay, what is this? And you're pointing to it and it's telling you, right? And you're like, we don't know exactly what this spot does, right? And you're like, well, this is where we're focusing our research, is like when this interacts and this does this is something we don't know. But man, yeah. So I know that I was
So
talking
I will
superficially
give
about.
you one additional data point for your decision making, which is, there's a lot of most new products when they come out have bugs and glitches
Mhm.
in something or the other. This product for me has been flawless, start to finish. The way in which you can on ramp into such a new technology was amazing. You bring your iPhone close to it and it picks up what's your Wi-Fi, what's your everything. Everything's kind of set. I mean, that easy. You just click a few buttons and it's already taught you how to engage with the product with vision and with gesture. And the app has not, the system has not crashed on me one time. There's only one heart attack, minor heart attack I had this morning when I put it on and the damn thing was all dark and I was like, what the hell happened? It turns out it was updating the software. It was updating the software. So it's just like any other thing, it runs an update. So if you own one of these things and you put it on in the morning and the damn thing's all dark, don't freak out. It just takes a minute or two to kind of update some of those things, and then the Apple sign comes up. And don't keep clicking and crushing. Don't do anything stupid. Just wait.
I love it, man. I can imagine having just like the stress level, like what's happening. That's we don't have to follow. Like even shopping, like that's another thing. Sorry, like
Yeah.
I've thought about that. Like honestly, you can integrate where stores create kind of like a 3D model of their store, and they're like, here's the inventory, and people can go through and they're like, no, I want this, and then they can go pick it up at the store, right? Like that level of shopping.
Shopping change. You want a rug?
Everything's changed.
You can put the rug, right? They have that technology today, but you can augment. You can, when you shop, you can pick the rug, augment your room with that rug, and see how it is. You want to put a painting on the wall, an IRL painting, you can put it and see where it is. And you can also get advice on stuff like that, right? Rate my house on a scale of 1 to 10, how clean it is and how whatever it is, right?
Well, even house showings now, right? You can take the image and then instead of kind of doing the double click and you're kind of walking through, now you're literally like walking. You can walk through that way. Man, there's a lot there.
I mean, this would be the product to explore VeVeverse with. Like, simple. Why do you need to get it? VeVeverse.
I'm excited.
There are many other reasons to get it. Personally, for me, I'm in the beta for VeVeverse, and I don't want to be like missing out on this action, man. Like, can you imagine that opportunity where you get? So I got it for that reason. I'm like, I don't want to, I want to be ready. The day they turn the switch on, I'm ready. But even if I don't have VeVeverse, it's like so much, the immersiveness, all that stuff, mind blowing, man. It's great. It's like a tech inflection point, a revolution. It's not mass adopted or anything, but it's that next step. And like as an early adopter, to be on that next step before, whatever you want to call them, normies or whatever else, it's maybe it's snobbishness, maybe it's tech snobbishness or whatever. Yeah, so be it, man. But it's the way to do it.
I love it. Well, hey, Sanjay, I'm going to wrap things up here, but I wanted to let you have like any closing words. And then if you have a couple minutes after, I'd love to chat with you a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I'll stay on as well.
After the stream. So anything, like, I just love your thoughts on like where VeVe is headed. We know that like there's David's going to South by Southwest, right? Like they talked about some sort of music. I mean, on my channel, David talked about he was hoping in December to announce like a music, integration, right, with VeVe. So like I don't know, like do you think that the VeVe, the sentiment around VeVe has changed as they started actually fulfilling some of the things that they had talked about fulfilling earlier on, and just kind of like the progress and development is a little bit quicker, and like you said, like things are moving a lot faster. So I just love to get your take on like 2024, more bullish. Are you excited about VeVe and Omi going into this year and by the end of 2024?
Yeah, two things. So the first thing is, I don't think VeVe is immune to sentiment in the marketplace. So I see the number of active users dropping. I see the prices dropping. I see the number of new users coming in changing. I see a lot of those things. So that's one aspect of it. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to, like you gotta be honest. If you can't be honest with yourself, you do really dumb things. That's one thing. So on the other hand, the company's made real progress. They've got MCP. It took a little longer than normal to roll out the MCP and to get it to everybody and stuff like that. But there is MCP wherein you earn points, you have level, you have ranks. There's people who do things. It motivates people to get more things. Then there was OUP where you get points for those things. There's MCP next phase now where you can start using the MCP points for stuff. And I think that'll get more and more sophisticated and interesting, where master collectors and diamond collectors can feel like they have more access. And it's not just about points, it's about levels and ranks too. We haven't used those yet. So I think all those will come as well. I think they're all just easy to do. I'm seeing a lot of progress. Obviously, you don't see VeVeverse. I do. And I went into VeVeverse day one when they opened it up for the beta testing. And I know it was great, but there were a couple of things that needed to get fixed before you scale it and bring a lot more people in. And I've seen the progress there as well. I obviously cannot comment on it. But when they accidentally sent out the invite, I had genuine concern about the letting so many people in without that one scaling issue being fixed. But just interacting with the VeVeverse now, I've seen that issue sufficiently fixed. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And they have other criteria or whatever. So I think if I had to guess, I think it's right around the corner. The invites going out. And then, I'm aware of something very big going down as well within VeVe, very big. And David's talked about it. He said it's one of the biggest things in his career, very big. And I don't know whether he meant the same big thing that I think is big that I've been exposed to. But that's very big. What I've been exposed to, very big, very big. It's not some small. It's not fucking one little IP or some big IP or something. It's like it's pretty big, man. Like whatever's coming is very big. So can't say any more. Don't be stupid and go out and say VeVe dead because I picked something. It's like very big, brother. Leave it at that. And then I'm going to South by Southwest as well. So it's only 2 hours drive from my house. And I know a lot of people think it's the music vertical, and there may be a music vertical there, but very specifically on the 14th of March. At 2:30 Central Time, there is a panel, and it's two guys from Marvel, CB Cebulski, I don't know, I'm probably butchering his last name, and then there's another guy, and then there's Dan. So, and the description says that they're talking about it's X-Men rebooted, right? The new X-Men kind of thing, and digital comics. It says those two things. So I don't think they're getting Dan all the way from New Zealand to get Dan's point of view on X-Men. I don't think they're fucking... Okay. So Dan, I don't know if Dan's got anything to do with the X-Men. Dan might have something to do with the other part, right?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is, they're not going to a freaking conference where there's no booth and nothing just to, this ain't, important. So I don't know what it is, but I'm going to be there. It's an $800 ticket to just go into the music vertical for all the days. There's no one-day ticket. So the cheapest way to get in, I think, is $800 with sort of regular prices. But if anyone else wants to go, if you're in the area and you want to go, the way to do it is actually to go to your company and get them sponsored. because most of those people that go to South by Southwest, because they have a technology track, and then they have like all these film track, and they have, it's like a real conference that companies sponsor people to go. And so if you work in tech or remotely in tech, I would, go to your manager and say, look, you'd like to attend this conference as part of it. It's only $1,600 for the full ticket or something like that, or you can do it for cheaper for this thing, and you'd stay in a budget hotel, whatever the hell it is. That would be one way to go and attend this event. It's not like you can't go to your boss and say, pay my ticket to Comic-Con. Right?
Yeah.
Like you can go to your boss unless you work for a collectible company, right?
Sure.
But if you work in any tech company, you can basically, it's one of the largest festivals. It's a collection of festivals and events and conferences. But yeah, so I'm going to be there. I'm super excited. I will go live on somebody's channel. I have to figure out, it might, since it's comics and stuff, I probably do sleep in or comics and crypto or something. And, right after the event is done, just my take. I don't know if they broadcast it live or not, but I will, depending on what the situation is, I'll be more than happy to share stuff with the VeVe fam if any of the other big guys are not there. But if Metaverse Live or Sleep In or Sean, and if these guys are there and they're doing their thing, then obviously they don't need me. They'll do their thing. Yeah. But I'm happy to help out from that standpoint. But I'm super excited about that event as well. So those are the things to cover, man.
Yeah. Well, Sanjay, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the channel and just love picking your brain and really hearing a little bit more about your background and your experience coming here. It's phenomenal. And I hope that as the VeVe fam watches, and anyone watching this, right, that we truly understand what a treasure we have in Sanjay, and so grateful that you're part of this community and all that you do for the community. Thank you so much. And shout out to the VeVe fam. If you don't follow Sanjay on Twitter, it's MrMC1.Eth or .eth. There. Yeah, and on like I have that in the comments below where you can follow him. But please do, right? I mean, you're gonna learn a lot from this guy. I love his insights. And again, thanks for watching, supporting the channel. And if you haven't, I always like this: smash, push, crush, or even gently just caress that like, subscribe, and all notifications button. I'd love to grow my channel. I'd love to get more incredible guests like Sanjay on and just continue to inform. Like, that's the biggest thing for me. I think my background, coming into this space, there was so much that I had to learn, and it is a steep learning curve. And that was one of the things is I'm like, I want to be able to provide a space for people where they can learn and get educated. And I can talk to you about the pitfalls that I've had and at least provide my point of view there. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you on the next stream.